A lot of people talk these days about community building, and what it means to people is diverse. If somebody says, I'm a community builder, you don't have any idea what they're doing, right? But one way of thinking about how communities get built is to say that the principal resource in a community by definition is a group of specially related people. And the material that they have as a group to do anything is their gifts and their talents and their capacities. Right? So in a neighborhood, if you said, well, how could this neighborhood be built? One way of thinking about it is that it would be built by everybody contributing as many gifts as they could to each other and to the whole. So that as powerful as a community could possibly be, would be if everybody there contributed all their gifts. So that way of thinking about community building says that everything that limits, prohibits, pushes back people contributing their gifts is the reverse of community building. We'll call it community busting, right? And so it's interesting to think about how do you bust communities, right? And one of the most effective ways, if you really want to bust a community, is get outsiders to come to the community and begin to label people around their deficiencies and problems, right? So they say, oh, developmentally disabled, right? So he's set aside because we know him by what he doesn't have or what we perceive as a brokenness. Oh, welfare mom, let's set her aside over there because she's not a real mom, right? But we're going to help her. We're going to help her. We'll get programs for her, right? And we'll let her learn how to be a good client, right? And become a real dependent person, right? So that the labeling produces a place for institutions that help to work, right? Setting aside people and saying they aren't our people because they don't have gifts, they've got deficiencies. So one of the things that we've seen over the years is a really well-served community in the institutional sense is probably going to be one of the weakest places as a real community that you'll find. So when we talk about deinstitutionalization, it's one way of saying there's something better, right, than a world that says we'll be better because everybody's being served fixed, right? And what we have now, I think, before us is we know something about deinstitutionalization, but what we don't know too much about is recommunalization. And so I think the work ahead is how do we increasingly get people at the edge into the middle by invitation to their gifts. That's the work of community building.